Hello there, Craven from IT Near You, and I just want to make you aware of a scam that is doing the rounds. I've probably had about half a dozen of these attempts, victims that I had to go and help after they were scammed, generally to check their phone. Now, if you have an iPhone, it's highly unlikely that your phone has been infected with anything. So this is a social engineering hack. What they do, they phone you up and they say, oh, we're from the bank and we've got some unusual transactions on your account. Now, how they get this information, I'm assuming perhaps they've got a list somewhere of potential marks, because sometimes they actually appear to have information regarding the person's banking details. Now, this could be due to the person's email address being compromised on the computer generally, not on the phone, or it could be due to somebody actually going through the garbage, or it could be just that you may have gone to a restaurant or something like that, and they have one transaction, that they can actually verify. Someone feeds this information to the scammer. You go to a restaurant and they go like, this person went and purchased this, and then they can use that as a sort of a confidence builder, saying, oh, did you go to this restaurant and buy this food or whatever? So it's very subtle the way these things can work. It's social engineering. So generally what happens is you'll get a phone call from the bank saying, look, we need to check some details because we've got these unauthorized transactions. And then they'll give some absurd things like, there's this amount that's going off. Oh, I never bought that. The person or the victim will generally exclaim. And they'll say, oh, we need to do some checks then because this is quite serious because you're going to lose all this money. And they instill urgency and fear into you. That's the way the social engineering works. And then they say, okay, what we're going to do, we need your, now they may or may not require this. In the instances where this is not required, it means that they've probably somehow managed to hack your Gmail. The thing they'll ask for, they'll say, don't give us your password, but we need your bank business number or your customer number. And what they obviously do, they go to the website and they type in your bank customer number. They say, forgot my password. And you'll get a text, and the verification that they claim they're asking for is actually the two-factor code to reset your password. All right. Now, if you have additional measures in place, like for every transaction, you have to put in that code, or if you want to change your details, you've got to get another two-factor code. They might ask for multiple verifications during the process. They might do one to change your bank details. They might do one to transfer the money, etc. So they might do that. Generally, what happens, however, is they'll reset the password and they got access to the account. If you haven't set up those additional measures, then they don't need you anymore. They just transfer money at their will. And that's essentially how it works. You give them the two-factor authentication code and your business number in order for them to go and access your account. So if someone from the bank calls you, I'm going to give you a tip or two. Number one, the bank never calls you for these sort of things, all right? And if they do, what you do is the following. Number one, you check to see that they are legitimate. So you ask for a reference number from the individual and you ask for an extension number, all right? And if they don't give that to you, hang up. Number two, if they have any form of accent that doesn't sound like a Kiwi or an English-speaking person, if they sound like they're faking an accent, hang up the phone, all right? You can call it racial profiling. The fact of the matter is the top 10 countries in the world that have scam centers are Nigeria, Ghana, India, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So if they have that accent, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. There's a reason they called Indian scam centers, all right? What you do when you call the bank back, you do a search for BNZ, for example. You do not ever click on a sponsored link. You click on the bank link. What scammers will sometimes do is, and they're all linked together sometimes when they're doing these scams, they'll take an advert on Google pretending to be a bank and the link will go somewhere else. You don't ever click an advert when you're looking for the bank. You click here. If it says sponsored, don't click it. You click here. And the other way, of course, if you happen to have shortcuts to your bank, then obviously you click on that, no problem. But if you know your bank web address, you go straight there, you get the telephone number from the web page, and then you call that number. Ideally, you want to save this number on your phone, okay? But you call the number, ask for the extension, ask for the reference, and then at least you know. Anything to do with scamming, any correspondence, if you do become a victim, email. Everything must be an email so that you can get hold of the ombudsman and take the bank to task. I find it very backwards that New Zealand banks still use SMS and text verifications. In a civilized society or a more advanced society, you shouldn't have to use text. You should use either email, because it's easier to secure an email account than it is to secure a text account. And obviously the best way to do it is an authenticator app that should work on your phone. And you shouldn't be able to reinstall an app on your phone with just a text message. You should just be able to, you have your QR code given to you, and it changes every 30 seconds. So two-factor authentication apps, that's the way to go. Why more banks aren't doing this is beyond me, because the second some of these scummy scammers get into the phone centers and the ISPs, they can basically swap out SIM cards. I had a situation like that in South Africa between one or two of the banks where they would change the SIM card over because they knew someone at the ISP. Yeah, I mean, I know of an incident where somebody walked into a phone center and asked for their friend's new phone number, and the guy basically gave it to them. It's just, you can't trust security when the security of the ISP is as poor as that. So yeah, look at this. If you connect from India with TeamViewer, if someone connects from it, you get this warning, right? The guys have gone beyond this now. This scam is so much easier. They just phone you up and say, we want to check your account, and you basically give them access to your account. So yeah, don't speak to scammers or anyone from a bank. What you do, you get a reference number, you get an extension number. It doesn't matter if they try and threaten you or make you worry about losing your money. You haven't lost anything until you give them something, all right? That's it. So basically, don't give them anything. Listen for an accent. And yeah, it's up to the banks to hire decent staff. And anything you do, if you do get scammed, work in an email.